So, another week and another episode of The Last of Us, and boy was it a good one. In this, we got the flashback episode, so we talk all about how that episode went. But first off, let's say we're one step closer to the end, and that's not a good thing because this season has been rushed already, so to have one episode left, I can't wait to see what they do in the next one. But that's a whole other topic that's already been beaten to death, so let's not. I want to focus more on what was episode 6, because it was the long-awaited flashback episode, and wow, did they really try to fit every single flashback from the game into an hour. Now, if I never played the game before, I wouldn't have too much to actually complain about because it was a solid episode in itself, but that's not why we're here, so let's get right into it. Well, as you can imagine, it doesn't disappoint by deviating right from the start from the actual game, and instead gives us a little bit of backstory about Joel and Tommy. Now, at first when this scene started, I did roll my eyes pretty hard, but I actually was surprised at how good the scene ended up being, and for once, it was a good change that the writers have made on this show, and that's a rare thing to say. But of course, that is where it ends for a little while, because now we're back with Joel and Ellie. Now again, changing things from the source material is fine, but when it's worse than the source, that's a problem. Like Ellie burning her bite mark so she can wear long sleeves again. What a stupid reason. Originally, it was a discussion between Joel, Tommy and Maria to give Ellie a chemical burn in order to cover her bite scar, so there wouldn't be a risk of the people in Jackson seeing it when they moved in. And of course, there still was that comment of Ellie missing wearing t-shirts, so the change was definitely not for the better. I'll start off by saying Pedro is not the best singer, but that's not the worst part here, it's the acting. It's some of the worst I've seen in the show so far, and I'm going to explain why. Long before this time in the game, Ellie's already living in the garage, and she's already getting colder towards Joel. He clearly can feel it, and he comes in to talk to Ellie, and you can see just how shy and nervous he is trying to make small talk with her, and her cold responses aren't helping. She doesn't even laugh at his simple dad joke, which is one of her favourite things. That's followed by him bringing in the guitar, and Ellie's energy changes slightly and gets a little bit softer. She teases Joel to sing a song since he did promise to sing a song to her when they were out travelling in the first game, aka Season 1. And as he starts, you can slowly see Ellie's expressions getting a little bit softer towards him as Joel is opening up and being vulnerable with her. And I know it's been said 1,000 times, but Bella just does not have the acting skills, or maybe not even the facial muscles to pull off such subtle but powerful acting for a scene like this. The scene then ends between them, giving both the characters and the audience a nice comforting feeling inside instead of just some shitty attempt at humour. But it's not all negative because we then go forward a year for one of Ellie's birthday trips. Now, like most, I wanted to see the hat being put in the dinosaur, but unfortunately, despite them saying they had all the sets built, it was just never used. But we did get this scene.
Careful!
I want a motherfucking dinosaur!
So at the very least, I was happy with that. They also named the astronaut scene in my opinion, and strangely, I did generally enjoy Bella and Pedro in most of this episode. It's clear that Bella is more suited to be playing younger Ellie, and I actually felt some of the same emotions watching this as I did playing the game, although they were far from the same strength they were there. So well done to them for doing that. As for the teenage rebellion scenes, they were new, but there's something I didn't actually have a problem with. It's interesting because we did get a little bit of this backstory in the game, so it's nice to kind of see it played out a little bit. But what goes up must come down, and for me, that was when Joel and Ellie are out on patrol. Now, just purely as a viewer of the show, I actually really liked it. My only main critique is that they made Joel seem way more of an asshole than I felt they needed to in order to prove the point of how he lied to Ellie and killed Eugene. But as a fan of games, I just feel they missed a big chance with the hard-hitting scene from the game, which would be, on that day, Ellie ran back to the hospital that she was at, and she finds some recordings from the scientists/doctors there and finds out the truth, and it breaks her heart. After that, we see Ellie sitting outside and Joel rushing to her on a horseback to try and catch up with her. He jumps off the horse and tries to comfort Ellie, but she demands for him to finally tell the truth. He jumps off the horse to try and comfort her, but Ellie pushes him off and says, "Tell me the truth or lose me forever." Now, all of these things said in the scenes that are important are brought into the show, but they feel much more shoehorned into the scenes, mainly the porch scene, which it did not belong, but I'll get to that in a second. But as Joel confesses to Ellie, you see her heart breaking, and I felt that was a much more powerful scene than just Ellie catching Joel out in a lie. But as I said, all of that got shoehorned into the final porch scene, and boy oh boy was that a big letdown, and I felt an absolutely terrible place to put it in terms of running order of the show. Well, hey, maybe they didn't have much faith in the audience retention, so they felt the need to squeeze it in. Now, the scene that probably pissed me off the most was the porch scene, and by far was the weakest for me in this episode. The writing was all over the place, the actors' movements, their positioning, their facial expressions, and most importantly just the acting itself was not great. No big offence here, but Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson are leagues ahead of Pedro and Bella. It kind of reminds me of the final scenes in the hospital in Season 1 with Joel and Marlon. The way he kills her really solidifies just the kind of person he is and how far he's willing to go to protect Ellie.
You just come after her.
But in the show, when Pedro did it, it felt like he just phoned it in.
You've just come after her.
And the Porsche feels much the same way to me. We just focus on the Porsche scene versus the game's Porsche scene. First of all, Pedro's tone doesn't seem to change much at all. And yes, he does look upset, but take away the tears and there's not much there, and even worse if you take away Bella's tears. Their faces do not tell the story they need to. And I know you may want to argue that the game version is CGI and it can be touched up and so, but know that the actors all wore tracking dots on their faces, so every emotion, every expression was actually caught and then remade in the game for that, and there's plenty of footage to prove that point. But for me, it's one moment in particular, and it's when Joel tells Ellie that if he had a second chance, he would do it all over again. Pedro stands still and he delivers the line in a sad, shaky voice, which is fine, but compared to the game, as Joel fixes his posture, his voice regains its strength and he looks Ellie right in the eyes when saying it, which just shows way more in action than words ever could. And it's differences like that from Troy Baker's performance I feel is really lacking. It's a decision he would stand by and never regret, and with Ellie's reaction also saying more than words ever could from Ashley Johnson's performance. To end it off, just like that scene when Ellie says, "I don't think I can forgive you," Pedro's again almost still and teary-eyed, while Troy slumps back down onto the rail, and as the second half of the line's delivered, you can see just how much it meant to him to hear those words.
But I would like to try.
So to sum it up, not a bad episode. Great even if you've never played the games. But it's these limited capabilities that will always stop it from being any kind of a masterpiece of a show. Anyway, that's all from me, so thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.